The 2024 All-America City Hall of Fame Award goes to Wheat Ridge, Colorado. An All-America City in 2021, Wheat Ridge is being recognized for embracing resident engagement during a period of great transformation through the Let's Talk Resident Engagement Program. Congratulations, Wheat Ridge. Please join me on stage to accept your award.
Yeah, oh, okay, it's on, okay. Hi, everyone. Happy All-America City. Woo! All right, just before I start, I have to share, when we won in 2021, it was virtual, and we didn't get the experience you guys are having today of everybody being in the room, and so I just want to take a minute to absorb it, because this is just extraordinary. You guys are just so bright and shiny, and yeah. All right, Wheat Ridge is in the house. So, All-America City. We are so excited to be back on the stage, and we are incredibly honored to be recognized again by the National Civic League. It's been quite a journey. And we've had a lot since we won in 2021. Our next chapter has been extraordinary. But we thought we'd start by sharing a little bit about our process that took us from should we to we did it. So, first of all, we recognized right away that the application and the presentation was going to be a lot of work. Y'all know this. And we recognized that was going to be a big time commitment for both staff and our community leaders. So we asked ourselves two important questions, and these might be familiar to you. First, we asked ourselves, does Wheat Ridge have a compelling story to tell? And yeah, we did. But then secondly, and more importantly, we asked ourselves, what if we don't win? Is this going to still make us a stronger and more resilient community for trying? And the answer was a resounding yes. So we got to work. Our original script was just written by a few people, and it really centered around using keys to representing unlocking civic doors. And when we had our first read-through with our entire group, our community confronted us that those keys didn't have the same meaning to other people in our community. This is when the video
Today, these keys have been used to open doors as symbols of inclusion and civic engagement. But as we were working together on this presentation, we realized these keys also symbolize locked doors that only certain people can open. As part of Wheat Ridge Together, an initiative that started in 2020 to remove barriers to civic engagement, we are asking ourselves how we can do better to be more inclusive by listening and embracing different perspectives. Our community members are the only keys we need to open doors. No more keys as symbols.
So that was a powerful moment in our process and in our presentation. But it wasn't an isolated example of how Wheat Ridge has developed a stronger sense of belonging by listening to community input. As a co-chair of the 2019 Neighborhood Revitalization Strategy Update, we heard loud and clear from all of our community members that Wheat Ridge really needed to create capacity for our residents to give feedback at the neighborhood level to impact and direct change going forward.
So in response to that, the city launched Let's Talk, a neighborhood engagement program designed to learn what's most important to our residents where they live. We engaged people within the 10 neighborhoods throughout our city and asked them what they loved the most and what could use some improvement. Over this 3-year process, we hosted 49 virtual and in-person events and conducted 20 surveys. To address the input from the 1,800 participants, we worked across departments, developed a work plan that was specific, responsive, and had actions we could take.
During the Let's Talk program, residents received postcards, they saw yard signs, and they read stories in the local paper inviting them to participate. As the publisher of that local paper, I know our neighbors care whether the city listens, but they care more about accountability. They can see the city's progress implementing the Let's Talk work plan on the city's community engagement website.
Hey, y'all. Hey, so as a Let's Talk participant, I wasn't surprised to find that having safer places to walk and ride a bike was a top priority in all 10 neighborhoods. So as a result of that, the city council put forth a $75 million ballot measure to fund safer roadways and corridors. So as y'all know, it takes way more to win an election than a yes vote. So I contributed to the campaign, knocked on doors, recruited some other volunteers, and celebrated with the community when the ballot measure won with 70% support.
So I know that advocating for change takes more than just civic engagement. It also requires civic leadership. And for that purpose, Wheat Ridge has created a class called Wheat Ridge 101. It's an opportunity that is offered through our nonprofit partner, Local Works.
Wheat Ridge 101 is free to our public. It's a multi-week program that is very interactive, and participants learn more about the inner workings of our city during this time. And they also develop strategies for how they can get engaged and give input on what we're doing as a city. Later, last year actually, we added Wheat Ridge 102. So now 101 graduates can take what they've learned in the class and actually apply it to a process of how to facilitate a needed change within the community. They develop a project proposal and they take it to our council.
Me again. So during Wheat Ridge 101, I learned from senior city staff the inner workings, how the city functions. And I used that knowledge in Wheat Ridge 102, and along with 5 other residents and a few mentors, we designed a Snow Buddies program, and we presented that last winter at City Council. So now I have firsthand knowledge of how the city and the residents can work hand in hand to address some community needs and problems.
In response to George Floyd's murder, the resident-led organization Wheat Ridge for Equity successfully campaigned our city council to create a race and equity task force. Citizen actions and engagement with the city are helping normalize talking about white privilege, bigotry, and racism in our community.
So I had just completed a community leadership program and was inspired not only to join the task force, but to make the commitment to be a co-chair. 20 volunteers invested a combined 1,000 hours and over 2 years meeting as a committee and meeting with staff and community leaders across our 11 focus areas.
Last fall, Race and Equity Task Force members presented our recommendations to City Council, which included transitioning the task force to an ongoing advisory committee. Council took action on this recommendation and created the Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility Committee, aka the IDEA Committee, which will start this summer.
So shortly after wrapping up as a Race and Equity Task Force co-chair, I decided to run for City Council. and I won. Thanks, y'all. On the night I was sworn in, our city council meeting was hijacked by a national anti-Semitic hate group. For 40 minutes, this group, over Zoom, decided to fill our meeting with the worst vitriolic, hateful language you can imagine, and we listened to it. And because of that, our meeting was hijacked for a moment until we could get our wits about us.
A month later, a grassroots town hall at the Wheat Ridge Rec Center was hastily organized to incite fear and hatred targeting migrants in the region. While many in the room were not from Wheat Ridge, there were chants of "build the wall" and other dehumanizing language.
So these incidents were an attack on our whole community. So in city chambers, our most sacred civic space, our community responded with a strong and unified voice that hate has no place in our city.
Hate has no place in our city.
As the owner of a local newspaper, it's difficult for me to argue with freedom of speech. The right to share out loud your hatred and vile opinions without being shut down and stifled. My impressions, though, from that Monday night weren't the words of degenerates with parents that are likely brother and sister, but the messages of support I received from council and members of staff. I feel safe, welcomed, and loved in Wheat Ridge.
I am sympathetic that our neighbors that are involved in these actions feel disenfranchised by our changing world and local community. It is imperative that we continue the work to make Wheat Ridge a more inclusive community that is open to all and safe to all. My ask of council tonight, please consider expanding your accessibility to support more community building.
We are better than that. We've worked way too hard in the last few years, and we're not going backwards. I, for one, value the work that has been done in this community and will continue to be done to ensure that Wheat Ridge is safe, that it's inviting, and that it's an inclusive city that we can be proud of. And that I am proud that we are on our way to that happening.
This is resolution number 06-2024, a resolution in support of democracy. This resolution declares the council's unwavering commitment to supporting democracy. The resolution affirms, emphasizes, and actively promotes democratic values and principles within the city of Wheat Ridge, encouraging widespread participation in fostering an inclusive and accountable governing structure.
And whereas the City Council asserts that it is the responsibility of local government and every individual to protect and strengthen the institutions of democracy and set aside small differences in service of a greater purpose. And whereas the City Council affirms its commitment to upholding the principles of democracy, ensuring that the will of the people is heard and respected. And whereas the City of Wheat Ridge actively demonstrates its dedication to public participation and governance through the invaluable contributions and numerous volunteers on city boards, commissions, authorities, committees.
In Wheat Ridge, we see ourselves as more than just a city. We are a community working together to be welcoming, inclusive, accessible, and safe. By listening and acting together, Wheat Ridge will continue to be a great place to live, work, play, and learn. Wheat Ridge listens and takes action together. Thank you.
All right, ready? Let's go about.